as you know, the state institutions are very different than the private institutions. And the question I think I want to frame it in the context of maybe in the context of the president's response to the tragedy over the Potomac. Without the investigations having been completed, the tragic loss of life, both on the side of the U.S. military and on the side of the passengers that were on that jet. And I know you, as well as I do, mourn the families and the nation mourns at this hour. But when asked the question of what it could have been, the president not only doubled down, he tripled down on the idea that somehow DEI could be involved. When pressed about the same question later, he said, well, the issue may have been competence, as if to suggest that if there were people of color or women or others who were either flying the planes or in the control towers, that somehow because we're Black or because we're female or because some people are gay or disabled, that somehow they are not competent. And so as if to go to an HBCU provides some kind of inferior education. African American institutions, HBCUs, you have graduated some of the highest qualified contributing citizens in the history of the nation. And I know, given your commitment to excellence, no point in time did you ever say to yourself, hire someone from Hampton just because they're Black. You've produced the finest students in the world. And so the question really is, the idea of suggesting that every time a Black person gets hired, they must be part of some kind of diversity, equity, inclusion, or affirmative action program has to fly in the face of 44 years of your work.
Well, let me just say this, and I'm not going to even try to respond as long as even your question. I have a great deal of sorrow for all of those people. You know, latest I heard, it was 67 deaths. I don't know how many it is. I have a great deal of sorrow for them. I have flown into that airport many, many times, so I have a great deal of sorrow. And I will respond this way, it's very simple. I wish that the president hadn't said that. That's my response, and that's it.
I appreciate that. I think that's that's the bottom line. I am somewhat flabbergasted by the suggestion of anything to the contrary, and I agree with the simple response that you gave. I just wish he wouldn't say it, and I just wish the governors wouldn't say it, and I just wish the Congress wouldn't be attempting to change funding at the National Institute of Health, where we send money to Meharry and to Howard and to Drew and to other institutions that provide some of the highest performing doctors in the nation, particularly those doctors and their research that look at the disparities, why African Americans die disproportionately of cardiac arrest, why we die disproportionately of stroke, why we have kidney and renal failure at a higher and more alarming rate than the rest of the population. Their research matters to our lives as Black people, why our life expectancy is less than the general population. It just seems to me that those research dollars do matter because this research is their specialty. This research is designed to close the gaps that exist between our community and the broader community. And if no one's doing the research, to expect a different outcome from this work without having looked very carefully scientifically and based upon the data at why these instances occur disproportionately in our communities, it seems to me that the government is not functioning its appropriations of monies following the crisis. They are appropriating money based upon the assumptions that somehow our scientists are not some of the most qualified scientists in the world. You brought the protein therapy, the only one of its kind in the nation, to Hampton University. Share with us more about that, Dr. Harvey.
Well, the fact is that cancer affects everybody, and in the Commonwealth of Virginia, cancer is the biggest killer, really. Used to be heart disease, now it's cancer.
Mm.
So one of the things that I wanted to do was to see how we can address that. And that's what we're doing. Right now, we are getting anywhere. I don't know what the number is because I'm not the president anymore, but at one point, we got up to around 70, 75 patients a day with prostate, breast, lung, ocular, pediatrics, head, neck, and brain cancers. So what we're trying to do is to deal with that really terrible disease of cancer. And we are the only one. When we started, there were only 3 in the country.
Mm.
So a lot of people wanted to know, did we have a medical school? No, and so forth. But the fact is that we were able to do it. I'll say but it was the team. But I went to New York and I was able to raise $225 million to help get that started. And we're still going on. And I'm just as proud of that and the people there as I can be. So that's what we're doing. We are treating cancer. And it's black and it's white. It's other folk as well. So look, that's what we're trying to do, and that's what we're going to continue to do with that proton beam cancer treatment center.
You're listening to Dr. William Robert Harvey, an American educator, academic administrator, businessman who served as president of Hampton University from 1978 to 2022. He's the longest serving president in the school's history. He served for more than 44 years. I'm honored to have him on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. When we come forward, we will continue our conversation with Dr. William Harvey.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. The FAA has indefinitely restricted helicopter flights near Reagan National after Wednesday's midair crash. Only medical and police helicopters are allowed in the area. The Defense Intelligence Agency paused events like Black History Month and Juneteenth under Trump's DEI ban, with other agencies following. Critics say it erases recognition and hurts morale. Testimony is continuing in the case against former Glenn County, Georgia DA Jackie Johnson, accused of blocking the investigation of a black man, Ahmaud Arbery. The state says she told officers not to arrest Travis McMichael, who is now serving life. And Black Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott says the city stands with D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser after the deadly midair crash, offering condolences and praising first responders, including Baltimore crews and Maryland agencies aiding recovery efforts. I'm Amber Payton on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Count on Lowe's to lend a hand to prepare, recover, and rebuild during the wildfires. Lowe's is a part of your neighborhood and want to make sure you have the supplies you need when you need them. Visit Lowe's in-store or online to get emergency supplies now and learn about relief efforts in your area.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers posted their season high in points in a blowout win at Washington, 134-96. The Lakers also had a season-high 31 assists. LeBron had 24 points and 11 assists. His son, Bronny, played the entire fourth quarter. He had 5 points and 2 assists. The Lakers are in New York Saturday to play the Knicks. The Clippers are at Charlotte tonight. Clippers guard James Harden and Lakers center Anthony Davis were named reserves for the Western Conference All-Star team. 11th All-Star appearance for Harden, the 10th for AD. The NBA All-Star Game is February 16th in San Francisco. USC's women's basketball team, the number 4 team in the country, won their 15th straight game. They beat Minnesota 82-69. USC and UCLA, the number 1 team in the nation, have a combined 35 straight wins. Kiki Irefin led the Trojans with 23 points. Juju Watkins dropped 20. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit lifelock.com. Terms apply.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Limited time. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you in tough times, connecting you with resources and what you need to know. Evacuation shelters are located in the Pasadena Civic Center, the Dream Center in LA, the Westwood Recreation Center, and many more. You can call 311 for details. Santa Anita Park in Arcadia is a pop-up mutual aid hub where you can pick up anything from clothing to food and hygiene supplies. If you're in Los Angeles County and in need of food, call Omni Ministries at 310-631-1557. Donations can be made to Zelle, Omni Ministries, Inc. at yahoo.com. Parking Lot I outside of Rose Bowl Stadium is a pop-up mutual aid hub where you can pick up everything from clothing to food to hygiene supplies for free. To volunteer or donate to help victims of the fire, contact the LA Emergency Network at enla.org. The Cochran Firm and Ivy McNeil, Wyatt Purcell and Diggs, Jasmine Canick, and others have launched a GoFundMe specifically targeting Altadena. Visit LA Fires. The impacted Black community urgently needs help on GoFundMe, and donate to help Black evacuees fighting for survival. Airbnb is offering free temporary housing to people displaced by the fires. Call 211 to sign up. The LA Chamber of Commerce is stepping up to help you sort out insurance claims and other paperwork. Reach them at 213-580-7500. South LA Cafe has free groceries, clothing, and water available at 1700 Browning Boulevard in LA. Track their giveaways or volunteer through their Instagram at South LA Cafe. U-Haul is donating short-term storage free of charge for 30 days to evacuees. Shelter for small or large animals can be accessed by calling 211. A Black-led coalition of community organizations is offering support and resources in the Altadena area at the Flint Ridge Center at 236 West Mountain Street in Pasadena. For comprehensive lists of resources for housing, food, shelter, and more, visit Mutual Aid LA Network on Instagram. Praying for LA and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, I am D.L. Hughley, host of the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show, heard weekdays from 2 to 4 exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580. I promise to make you think a little, but laugh a whole lot more. So tune in to the D.L. Hughley Afternoon Show 2 to 4 only on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
Do the things you do to me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. and welcome back to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. My very special guest today is Dr. William Harvey. Dr. Harvey served 44 years as the president of Hampton University. Dr. Harvey, welcome back to the program.
Much. I'm glad to be with you. And I'll say again, for those that were not listening when we started, I appreciate all that you have done and what your father has done, your family has done. And I just want to thank you. And I'm glad to be able to spend just a few minutes with you.
I appreciate you, Dr. Harvey. Dr. Harvey, the Harvey Leadership Institute has trained more presidents of universities and academic officers than any other leadership in the nation, maybe in the history of the nation. These are top-notch educators. I mean, some of the finest in the entire country. There must be some chilling effect to where the assumption is that these men and these women are only being hired because they're Black. Can you distinguish that, differentiate that, and dispel that notion for us?
Well, look, I can try to dispel it. I'm not sure that I'll be successful because I never have given in to that. As you said in your introduction, I was born in a small town in Alabama, Brewton, Alabama. I went to a historically Black college, Talladega College. I ended up with a doctorate from Harvard. I didn't get in on any kind of special privilege. I got in because of merit. And to look at the kinds of things that I and so many, 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 many other people have done. I talked earlier about the fact that I was a team leader, but I couldn't have done these things if it had not been for the team. I mentioned we got 4 satellites flying. I'm not a PhD in physics. I mentioned that we got the world's largest proton beam cancer treatment center. I'm not a medical doctor, but the fact is that we got to do that. I want to say something else because it's so very important and underlines my comment about my team.
Please.
There was an article in Inside Business, back in 2008. Federal contracts, big bucks for local universities was the headline. What it said was Hampton University, a private historically Black institution, leads all Virginia universities in federal contract dollars. Between fiscal years 2000 and 2007, Hampton University received more than $111 million, according to usaspending.gov. Virginia Tech followed closely with more than $102 million. University of Virginia had 7.23. The point is that we led the entire entire state. So that's what we did. But we didn't do that because of any kind of DEI. We did that because of the
outstanding achievement.
Absolutely. And that's just one example because, look, I was hired at Harvard when I finished my doctorate. Then my choice, I went to Fisk. And then, I worked at Tuskegee. And I told you I graduated from Talladega. I can say so many good things about these Black schools and the Black leadership. But remember, we've got to make sure that these boards understand their roles, because a lot of the issues that are happening now, I'm not talking about the issue that you're talking about, the DEI, but because they don't hire the people that's qualified enough to run these institutions. Because again, the thing that I just said to you, we led all Virginia universities, and the second came in was Virginia Tech. And University of Virginia was way down. That's William and Mary and everything else. Now, what I'm saying is that I just wish that everybody, Black and white, would get rid of this whole concept of DEI, and look at the merit. And I've seen it. I've worked with it. I've seen it at so many historically Black colleges and universities. And I'm going to repeat. And people tell me I do that a lot. I'll talk to this mayor. I'll talk to this governor. And I'll tell him, look, I'll be very glad to talk to him about, if necessary, if he's taking money from that school that you mentioned, trying to restore. That's what I do. And the reason that I always try to help people is because all of my life, people have helped me. And that includes your father and Martin Luther King and others. So that's what I would do. And that's the way I look at things. So that's just it.
That's part of your success, that Dr. Harvey will reach out to anybody, anytime, and provide them with the finest expertise necessary to close understandings, to close gaps, and to establish clarity. I want to just speak upon my own experience as a member of Congress. When I was on the Labor, Health, and Human Services Committee, an Institute of Medicine report came across my desk and subsequently the committee's desk, where African Americans were dying disproportionately because of all of these diseases. And the number one contributing factor in their deaths was the absence of primary care. The number one factor for the absence of primary care was this: women tend to support and want female gynecologists. African Americans tend to want an African American doctor to service them, someone whom they believe understands their needs, or they simply won't go to a doctor at all. And 90% of African American doctors who graduate from historically Black colleges and universities, their clientele, by and large, are African American. In other words, they don't move to the suburbs. They are at Roseland Hospital in Chicago. They are at Jackson Park. They are at our community hospitals. They're in clinics, community clinics. Some of them are at Walgreens and CVS. They show up where Black people are and where Black people feel comfortable. So the committee then set out to create at the National Institutes of Health, not an office, that's what it was initially. We elevated it through my legislation to a center, which was the last piece of legislation that Bill Clinton signed before he left office. And then before I left Congress, we were able to elevate the National Institute for Minority Health at the NIH to look across the Cancer Institute, multi tens of billions of dollars, the Heart Institute, because there was no coordination whatsoever that took a look at the Institute of Medicine's findings that we needed more Black doctors to locate in Black communities, Hispanic doctors to locate in Hispanic communities, and women. When we come forward, Dr. William Harvey will share with us more thoughts on the importance of excellence in education.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting rules for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text BEST to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text BEST to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text BEST to 200-300. That's BEST to 200-300. BEST to 200-300.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach, transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal, prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
It's KBLA Talk 1580's third annual Black History Month luncheon, and you're invited. This is year 2 of our climate justice work, and this year's $2 million 12-month campaign is all about linking and combating the relationship between climate and Black health. We already know that these wildfires will leave in their wake even greater inequities, including negative impacts on Black health, given the toxic air pollutants circulating in the air we breathe. So, as part of this year's climate campaign, we're honoring Black doctors and leaders in healthcare at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Friday, February 28th at noon. If you would like to join us, just go to our KBLA 1580 website and register for your chance to be our guest at the luncheon. We'd love to see you. And in case you haven't heard the news, KBLA Talk 1580 was just named one of the semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
This sandwich is not just spicy, it's flavorful. Hi, this is Patayo. And this is Elsa. And a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich is that spicy kick. Because the spice comes in at just the right moment. Oh, no. A little thing I love is that cilantro lime sauce. It's a fun blend of zesty and bold. That's what really makes me happy. Are you going to eat all your fries?
Order a Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich and a Diet Dr. Pepper on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome back to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. My very special guest, Dr. William Harvey, served as president of Hampton University for 44 years. He is the author of some extraordinary books, including but not limited to Historically Black Colleges and Universities, The Guide to Excellence. Dr. Harvey, welcome back to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Dr. Harvey. Welcome back.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Dr. Harvey, one of my questions, and then I want to give you an opportunity to close. Can historically Black colleges and universities, whether they are public or private institutions, survive without federal and state research dollars?
Well, it's just like anything else. Again, whether or not you're my alma mater, Harvard, or my alma mater, Talladega, you're going to need funds because you've got expenses and with faculty and staff and students and so forth and so on. And the fact is that what I would hope is that everybody, whether or not it's federal, state, or local, would be supportive of things that are going to improve their communities. And that's what historically Black colleges and universities and other colleges, but certainly historically Black colleges and universities have done. Look, I left Harvard by choice when I was being promoted. And I don't mind giving you just a very brief update. The man that had appointed me as his assistant to the Dean for Governmental Affairs, wanted me to stay there at Harvard, and I was being promoted. And I told him that I wanted to go back south and work at a Black school. And he told me that my star could rise faster if I stayed at a place like Harvard, because he said that Harvard was the very best school in the entire world. I'm just telling you what he said. Of course, I do go along with that, but he said that. And I'll tell you what I told him. I said, Dean Sizer, his name was Ted Sizer, he's dead now. I said, I thank you so very much for all that you have done for me and for others. But I got to follow my North Star. I can't follow the North Star. So I left by choice when I was being promoted to go to Fisk. So look, Black colleges have served this nation so very well, and I'm just as thankful as I can be for what they have done. I'm thankful for what Hampton has done, and Fisk and Tuskegee and North Carolina A&T and Howard, you name it. I'm thankful, and I'll say that to anybody. And I've got a record at places like Harvard, like Talladega, like Virginia State, and other places that can verify that. So that's just my thinking. That's what we need to do. We need to do more of that, and I do believe that. Maybe it's a long-winded answer to your question, that yes, Black schools need to be able to get federal support. They need to be able to get state support. And I have argued for that and been successful at that. And I will continue to do so.
I am particularly proud of your legacy of having done that, probably more than most. I know that in many of our HBCUs, there's an office of development. And I know that Hampton had one under your leadership. That's part of your team, the idea of establishing a development team. Chances are it came from Dr. William Harvey. There's no one in the country who has a longer track record of that. Many of these presidents are new. As you know, they're relatively young. Many of them rely upon their development offices, but they don't hit the grind like your experience has taught you over the decades that are necessary. And of course, my position as a former member of Congress was, if the federal government can help endow Harvard University through research dollars, Harvard Medical School, their money is not on the chopping block. Yale University's money is not on the chopping block. Dartmouth College's money from the federal government is not on the chopping block. Many large North Carolina, University of North Carolina, University of Virginia, large state schools, their money is not on the chopping block. But the Congress of the United States is looking at our institutions with a particular scrutiny that suggests somehow our institutions are not producing what Harvard produces or what Yale produces. And I'm here to dispel that notion that is simply not true. That they have right to these dollars. They are taxpayer dollars. They are not dollars that can be easily reallocated just because someone decides they want to reallocate them on the basis of a theory and not on the basis of good science or the basis of good fact and good data that often drives how the money is actually spent and how it's allocated. And as the vice chairman of the Foreign Operations Appropriations Committee and one of a handful of Blacks on the Labor, Health, and Human Services Committee. In fact, I followed one of your good friends and succeeded him on the Labor, Health, and Human Services Committee, the late Lou Stokes. Yes. I was in Congress when Mr. Stokes was there, and when he left, he insisted that I join the Labor, Health, and Human Services Committee because of that he believed I would continue to look out for our institutions when other members of Congress would be distributing research dollars to their alma maters and coming up with programs at their schools, but none of them were going to the heart of what we were capable of doing, not only for the entire nation, but for our country. I'm confident that George Washington Carver, his research would have worked at Harvard, it would have worked at Yale, it would work anywhere in the country. And there's some George Washington Carvers and some scientists and some dentists and some primary care physicians and some specialists that are looking very closely at the things that trouble the lives of African Americans and other Americans in rural areas where there are no practicing physicians. And so I'm going to keep my foot on the idea that we are not producing at our institutions second-class doctors or second-class PhDs. That has never been our problem. Our problem has been the kind of discrimination that had them look past us, look past our qualifications. And now the most qualified generation of African Americans who've ever served are now looking at an increased scrutiny. Dr. Harvey, I have just about 2 minutes before our program ends. Share with us some wisdom, some thoughts on what we should be doing next to make sure that our children become the very best that they can be. Dr. Harvey?
Said, I wholeheartedly agree with what you just said. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I wholeheartedly agree with what you just said. And the thing that I would just make a comment on, why don't you go back to Congress? I think that you would be great there, because what I suggest to you is that you would continue to move our race, our community, and our nation forward. So you continue to do well, young man. I appreciate you. I appreciate what you've done. I appreciate what your family has done. And you just stay healthy and take care.
Dr. Harvey, I can't wait to have you back on our program, because I certainly want to promote and use this platform to promote your memoir, which probably is among one of the most fascinating books I can only imagine. The people that you've met on a fairly extraordinary journey. Dr. Harvey has probably known the last 8 or 9, or shaken the hands of the last 8 or 9, maybe longer, presidents of the United States. He's been engaged at every level of our struggle, and he's encouraged excellence, entrepreneurship, and he has brought forward some of the greatest minds in the nation's history, regardless of their race, their sex, their class, and their color. Our community, Dr. Harvey, owes you a debt of gratitude.
Let me just say this. I repeat, I did not do it by myself. It was the team that was the dream. Okay.
Thank you very much. This has been the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Right. When we come forward, we look forward to talking with you next week.
Bye now.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.